10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. What a fight! I think Canelo won it.
Juan, the Hispanic causing panic, Lascano.
Wearing black with white, also weighing in at 167.6 pounds. In his professional career, 54 victories, including 36 big wins by knockout, only one defeat with 2 draws, and he's undefeated for 6 years, and considered by many to be, pound for pound, the best in the world. He's the former 2-time light middleweight world champion, former middleweight world champion, former light heavyweight world champion, the reigning, defending super middleweight champion of the world, damas y caballeros de Guadalajara, Jalisco, México, representando al gran campeón, Saúl Canelo.
What's going on, everybody? What is going on? What is this look? Like what is going on right now? I don't know what this is, but it's here. And I am glad to be here. First of all, I know it's been a long hiatus, and I know that I've been gone for a long time, and it's all good. But next week, man, going to be back full swing. I decided to just do this impromptu show. Just come on here really quick and grace you with my presence. You know what I mean? And give the people that don't like me the unfortunate news that I'm not dead. Like, you know what I mean? And give the people that do like me the fortunate news that I'm still around, right? So either way, some are unhappy, some are happy, but we're still here, baby. It's all good. Shout out to Mr. T. Right, Nando in the building. Nando L. He's Nando L. He's been taking so many L's after trying to debate these style over and over again over the years. Shout out to Nando. Real Talk Combat Sports saying salute to everybody. Puerto Rican Rum in the building, and of course Remy. I appreciate the membership, all that good stuff, and look, first of all, I hit the like button. We're on the campaign again. We're on that Camino Real once again, right? But let's keep it moving. Let's keep it going. Here's the deal. Well, first of all, we're going to start off with the whole women's representation in the sport of boxing, and being specific, Riyadh season. Like, why? The question is being asked by some, right? I saw it a lot on X in particular, like Sasha from Women's Fight News, and I saw others comment about the lack of women's representation in Saudi in Riyadh season. And I you know, it's noticeable. Of course, it's not a secret that there's not a lot of women's boxing on his cards, and the reality is a lot of people, a lot of boxing fans, either they're in different camps. Some just don't care. Some would maybe like to see it, but they're not making a big fuss about it. And there's others that would like to see it, right? My thing is this. Now, granted, Riyadh is doing this very open, kind of buying out. They're just buying out like they already bought out the Ring magazine. They're going to be control. In my opinion, I'm going to lay it out for you guys how I see this shit going. And I've been saying this. I've been seeing this last year. They're already in the process of taking over like media spaces, right? They're already in the process of like, because especially with the money, the backing of the Saudis that Turk Al Sheikh has, they're in the process of really just consolidating a lot of things. Right now, there's a consolidation of the promoters. There's a consolidation of even like the sanctioning bodies are working more together than they ever have. But we need to be ready in a sense, because it's one thing. Look, I'm all for the fights. I'm all for the fights that are being made. I love it. The more fights, the better. We're going to talk about one in a little bit. I'm all for the Saudi cards. I think they've been amazing. They've been great, right? We got heavyweight undisputed. We got just everything you could imagine. Like just it's happening, right? And it's almost like whatever's on his wish list, he takes out the checkbook and adds those zeros, and there's a lot of zeros being added to these checks, and things are getting done. How is that going to be sustainable? Is that going to last? I don't know, right? But what I do know is that soon enough, it seems like Canelo is on board to work with Turk Al Sheikh. Inoue is on board to work with Turk Al Sheikh. This is just the realities of what's going on. And we all gotta have to like, there has to be like a level of acceptance of it. Like it's the reality of what is. Turkey's able to sit people down, and it speeds up the process, right? And it's almost like he overrides whatever single promoter says. Like he just overrides it, and it's because he's the one with a checkbook now. That's bankrolled by the Saudis. But where the women come in playing this? Because there's this thing. I was seeing these posts, and I just disagree. I look, and this is all respect to anyone who said this. This is just a disagreement, but this whole idea that the women's boxing had a bad year, or it was just a down year for women's boxing last year, and I just don't agree. Could you argue it wasn't as strong as the years prior? I guess you could argue that. But I just don't think it has anything to do. I don't believe that a Riyadh season is the reason why. I just don't. It's you could argue that Riyadh season engulfing a lot of the talent from everybody, including Top Rank, is the reason Michaela Mayer versus Sandy Ryan was a main event on ESPN, because they had dates they had to fulfill, and that's a main event that they put up, and it did great ratings on ESPN. Look at the push that fight got. Look at the press that fight got. Katie Taylor and Amanda Serrano were on the pre-main of like Tyson versus Jake Paul, and whether people whether you want to hear this or not, right? That was Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson was the biggest. It's the biggest event of the year, whether you like it or not. And it was in a co-main, like over 50 million or whatever it was. Like there was a good like 40 million. I forget the exact number. That sat down and watched Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano. Right now, I would imagine that comments like this, right, is the reason there's those reactions. It's kind of like those oh, you don't believe us? So well, look at what's being said by some of your peeps out here, right? That's this dude's opinion. I don't agree, obviously, but that's how he feels, and that's how he feels. It is what it is. But I don't know why StreamYard is fucking up on me, by the way. I don't know. No, I know that so many people watch the Tyson Jake Paul fight, but I'm talking about the pre-main. And anyway, and there was a lot of good female fights that happened this year. But I'll tell you why. I understand that it's hard to compare to like when Katie and Amanda headlined the Garden as the main event. And that same year, you had like other big fights. One of them with where Shields fought Marshall. Yeah, that was in October, right? But here's the thing. You can't, and I saw Michaela Mayer, like I saw other female fighters kind of Marshall, and they're commenting to Turkey, and they're like, "Hey, look, what about us? What about us? What about us?" Like, here's the reality, man. Like, he's from Saudi Arabia. Like, I don't know, like I don't know what else to tell y'all. Like, the Saudi, like when it comes down to it, it's not that they're close to not working with women. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not necessarily the case, but they're not going to go out of their way to like promote women's boxing. But they're not going to go out of the way to do it. But my thing is, why do you feel like you need Turk Al Sheikh? Well, why do you need the Saudis? When other promoters like Shalom, for example, Boxer, you know, like you got Matchroom outside of those, they do other cards. They don't just do Riyadh season cards. They do other cards as well, right? Other promotional outfits in Australia, and we had great fights in Australia with women fighters. We had, you know, UK promotions, you know, promotional companies put forth women's boxing. Like more and more promoters are signing female fighters, and they're putting them on the main cards and not burying them on non-televised cards. So what I'm trying to understand is, why are we pretending like women's boxing didn't have some shine and there wasn't some fights that you were able to see? Now, some of it has nothing to do with the Saudis. Like the fact that Clarissa Shields refuses to do a rematch in the UK with Marshall, right? I think you could say had an effect on women's boxing a little bit, right? Because she's the top dog or whatever in the top weight class, the upper weight classes of the women's ranks, and quite frankly, Clarissa Shields has never been a big draw in the United States, you know. But that could be a fight that could still be made. You don't need Turk Al Sheikh, you don't need the Saudis. That's a fight that could be made right there, right? Mayor Ryan doesn't need the Saudis. It doesn't need any of that, and it's a fight that could be made, right? And that's just how I feel about it. I think Bumgarner being on the shelf for her own doing, for testing positive, maybe had an effect, but that has nothing to do with the Saudis, right? So the way I see it is, I think it was a good year for women's boxing. That's just how I feel about it. Now, if you want the women to get overpaid, as somebody said in the chat, and make the millions like the men are making, right, and get that big bag, then just say that. Just say, I want the women boxers to make the money the men are making. Because I think that's really what the issue. I don't like, the issue is not the lack of women's boxing. I've been covering boxing long enough to know that nobody was covering boxing, women's boxing, like when Holly Holm was like you know, top number 1 pound for pound in sport of boxing over 10 years ago. Like nobody was covering boxing like that, women's boxing, when Breakers became undisputed champion. Like there was a dark age in women's boxing when nobody was supporting women's boxing. Nobody was watching women's boxing. Really good women boxing matches were being buried, and until this day, there's no freaking footage of them, or you got to scour the universe to try to find it. I know women boxers that were fighting for world titles for a measly $2,000 just 10 years ago, right? So at the end of the day, like, I get it. If you want to, if you just, I think what you should be saying, I want the women to make what the men are making, right? Because I don't think the Saudi cards at all are affecting women's boxing. I just disagree. Every fight poster I see, there's 1 or 2 women fights in them, and that's a very good ratio. Very good ratio. Women boxers just make up about 2% of all boxers in the world. The men's lightweight division has more boxers than all pro boxers for women combined. So I haven't done the exact figures, but I like 2 to 5% of all boxers around the world are female. I'm talking about the pro ranks. And men make up about 95% of all the talent. You don't believe me? Look it up. There's men divisions that have 2,000 participants in them, where having 200 in some of the women's ranks is impressive. And once you go north of welterweight, you have women's divisions that have 20 women on it tops. So we have to, at the same time, like, so if you're looking at fight posters, right, and half of the fights have women fights in it, oh, believe me, you're getting a really good ratio out of it. If 2 fights are women fights, you're getting a good ratio out of it, right? Now, where I will agree is, and this is where local promoters are dropping the ball, right? Like they're dropping the ball consistently. And by the way, shout out to Bruce Goss, Boxing Jazz and More. Fresh Prince is get Calix on. Calix couldn't make it. I did invite him on the show. He just couldn't make it. He's got some stuff he needs to take care of, and we'll be back next week. But the thing is, yes, sometimes you have like a really good women's fight, and to me, everything's about merit, right? So sometimes you have like a card, let's just say a random card, and everyone is talking about the women's fight on the card, and no one gives a shit about the main event where you have a dude that the promoter, for whatever reason, is investing on, and you have him on some mismatch that nobody cares about, and that's the main event. Like, I will agree that sometimes it just, per merit, not because of what's between their legs, but just the merit of the fight, it seems like that co-main maybe should have been the main event, right? So like, for example, like I think Mayor Ryan was appropriately the main event due to merit. But if this was boxing 5-6 years ago, Mayor Ryan would have been the co-main at best, right? And they would have put some dude in the main event, right? Despite the fact that it's Mayor Ryan that people really cared about. And then I don't know if it gets the same praise for the high ratings it got on ESPN. So that I will agree with, right? Like, I think in Australia, No Limit had a fight card, right? And they had 2 women fights in it. I thought the fights were really good, right? You had Chan O'Connell versus Jazzy Parr. You had Desi Robinson against Kay Scott, and all the men's fights, to put it bluntly to you, sucked. Like, there were mismatches, right? You had one fight. It was an Olympian dude, knocked the dude out in the first round. Like they got to do it out of the crowd and just got knocked out. Jarvis was fighting a guy that had like 1 win and last like 20 fights or whatever the fuck it was. Total mismatch. And I don't want to hear, oh, the guy's a big draw because he couldn't sell out that little arena and he was the main event. So like, what's up with that? But if you looked at social media and you looked at the attention on social media, it was the female fight that people cared about. So I think sticking to the merit of it. Now, with that said, I wouldn't hold my breath about Turki Al-Sheikh and the Saudis pushing women's boxing. And I just disagree with the notion that they're absorbing boxing and all the promoters are working with them. And because of that, the promoters stopped really promoting women's boxing. I just disagree with that. Every fight poster I see, I'm seeing more and more women on the fight cards, and I'm seeing more cards I watch on television is including women's boxing. And we're not in the dark ages of women's boxing. I'm not saying there's not any improvement to make or anything to that, but we are not. It wasn't a bad year. I just disagree. It's the way I feel about it. So that is that, and then we're gonna have just a lot that's going on, So Queensberry, they're working with Cameron, and I'm telling you, man, like there's a lot of, and there's fights I know of women's boxing that are going to be happening soon, and they're good fights. Like we're getting some good fights that have nothing to do with Riyadh season. They may not be getting the Saudi money and the Saudi bag, but it doesn't mean that you as a viewer are not getting women's boxing. You're getting really good women's boxing matches. So that's all I'll say about that. Let's talk about Saul Canelo Alvarez versus Terrence Bud Crawford. We're going to talk about that. We'll talk about it after. Should I play some? Yeah, let's play some. We'll go ahead and what should we play? Well, if I could find the video, there we go. We'll just play this, and I will be back.
Welcome to Hispanic Causing Panic with your hosts, Calix and D-Style Boxing.
Welcome back, everybody. So, the beanie was bothering me, which just bothered me. Because I wanted to represent Texas for a little bit. It's just, but shout out to Remy, new member. I appreciate it, brother. All right. All memberships go towards back to the sport of boxing. I've explained that, and you guys can check more of that out on my community page. Boxing for Life says, please give a breakdown of Canelo Bud. And of course, Boxing for Life says, did you see the Ring Awards? First of all, thank you for your donation, brother. Much appreciated. Shout out to Anthony Sanchez, Remy, and Nando L, because keeps taking L's when he debates these style boxing. I was playing. Shout out to Nando. Carlos says, checking in after the women's boxing talk. And now I'm going to get accused of starting with the women's boxing talk, so that way everyone has to stick around before I start talking about Canelo. That's not what I was doing. Right? I'm just going to say that right now. But let's talk about it. Bunch of machistas out here, but what are we going to do? You know what I mean? Like all bullshit aside, like. Yeah, like so you sat down, you watched Katie Taylor versus Amanda Serrano, right? And you were like, fuck that. Bitches viejas, fuck these women, I don't want nothing to do. Why are they in the card? Why are they in the card? But then like when like Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson came on, you were like, woo! These are some men right here, is what I want to see right here. You know what I mean? Is that really what happened? I don't know, man. I think these women, say whatever you want, man. They come to fight, and they always put on a show. So, all right. Shout out to Black and Brown. Shout out to Brundog 16. Well, so I did see the Ring Awards, but I'm gonna be honest with you, man. I know people like I'm happy for the fighters, and I'm happy to have this platform to whatever. It's cool. Don't get what I'm about to say. Like, don't get me wrong, okay? Like, don't get me wrong, but I can't sit down and watch this Oscars style, like Grammy style show, like, and they sit down and they're like, and the winner is blah blah blah, and then everybody and then they stand up in the table and they play music and people clapping while they're drinking the champagne. It's not digging this Golden Globes feel. Like, that's just me. I don't like it. Like, you know what I mean? It's just me. I respect the history of the awards, and I think it's prestigious for whoever wins the awards, and that's great. But so I watched it kind of. I just I saw some of the people's speeches when they won. That's about it. But I ain't feeling it. So anyway, that's that. Saul Canelo Alvarez versus Terrence Bud Crawford. You know, whenever Canelo's fighting or there's rumors of him fighting or whatever, it's just funny how the energy in the room changes. It's just funny. When people think Canelo's not going to fight somebody, their energy is so different to when they have a feeling it's about to happen, right? And I experienced this in real time when he was going to fight Caleb Plant. Because Caleb Plant, Canelo were in negotiations, if you remember, right? And then the fight fell off. It didn't happen, right? PBC was being ridiculous, and they were demanding Canelo sign a multi-fight deal, and it was just nuts. It was supposed to happen in September, Mexican Independence Day weekend. It didn't happen. But Canelo wanted that damn belt, so to become undisputed. So they ended up negotiating, and then they ended up fighting in November. Now the saga of that was one of the most interesting real-time human experiences I ever saw. Right? Like, this was, in many respects and in many ways, right? A social experiment almost, right? Like, because I remember people went from, so we'll never fight the PBC guys. Because there used to be a time where we had channels on here saying that PBC has all the best fighters and nobody wants smoke with the PBC. Everyone's ducking the PBC, right? Crawford's ducking Spence, and Spence is with the PBC. Canelo's ducking Plank, and Spence with the PBC. The PBC is where it's at. The PBC has the best fighters, and whoever, like all these other guys, they want to fight Euro bums and easy comp and other places. So that's why they don't want to fight the tough Americans, right? And like, you know what I mean? Like, so at first it was Canelo. He wants no part of Caleb Plant. Caleb Plant's white chocolate. Caleb Plant, he's got the sauce. The Caleb Plant, the only thing white about Caleb Plant is his skin color. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was being insinuated that Canelo Alvarez wanted no piece of Caleb Plant. Because Caleb Plant had a black style, and Canelo wanted no piece of the black style. That's basically was being said. Now, granted, a couple months before that was Billy Joe Saunders, but Billy Joe Saunders was European, right? So it didn't matter. It didn't matter. Billy Joe Saunders was a really good boxer on the move, and the dude was from the UK. A little bit of an asshole, but nonetheless, good boxer. I don't like him personally, but he's a good talent. You know what I mean? But Caleb Plant, white chocolate, Canelo wants a piece of him. And I remember being on the Boxing Voice and being told Canelo ducked the smoke. So what do you mean he ducked the smoke? Like, he made an offer, $10 million to Caleb Plant, he didn't take it. Now, Canelo should have found a multi-fight deal, and this is where, like the YTBC and the boxing community are the masters of false equivalencies. The masters of it. Like they'll make a false equivalence, which is crazy. And I was being told, well, Canelo's a free agent, so he needs to go to PBC or else it's a duck. And I was being told that since Canelo signed a multi-fight deal before with Golden Boy and before with Matchroom, why couldn't he? Then he set a precedent where he needs to fight multi-fight deals. So why not sign a multi-fight deal to fight PBC? And their conclusion was because he's ducking. He's a ducker, right? And anyway, like, and I remember the whoo rah rah rah, and like, man, they were going off. A lot of the usual suspects on YouTube that just love to hate on Canelo for different reasons, okay? They were all over YouTube talking all their shit. I saw them on platforms. I saw them on Free Smoke Fridays. I saw them everywhere. Right? Dudes are going around with their chest puffed out. This dude's ducking. He's ducking Caleb Plant, okay? That's what they were saying. And then the rumors started that they're back in negotiation. Reynoso came out and said, no, we want this fight. We're going to make this fight happen, right? And it was like clockwork. The energy started to change, right? All of a sudden, the energy was changing, right? And eventually the fight happens. And dudes that were picking Canelo to lose, right? Caleb Plant's always in our box, Canelo and this and that. And well, when that didn't happen, Caleb Plant got stopped. All of a sudden, white chocolate wasn't white chocolate anymore. White chocolate, they took out the wrapper, right? I'm not talking about the ones that rhyme. I'm talking about the wrap. And they threw it in the middle of the road, in the middle of the hot sun. And white chocolate just melted away. Right? And it's funny because all of a sudden Plant was never. Who did Plant ever beat anyway? Yeah, that was the biggest cherry pick ever to become undisputed to beat Caleb Plant. Like, all of a sudden the language has changed. Like the dude who was ducking, all of a sudden was a nobody, right? And you wonder why I tell dudes, go fight somebody, like build a resume before you fight Canelo, because I know the trick. I know that if you don't do that, if you don't build a resume, the moment Canelo beats you, it becomes, who that guy beat anyway? What did he ever really do? Now we're seeing something similar right now. See, right now, for a while, if you remember, when it was all about Benavidez, and Crawford's name popped up, I still remember people like, oh, watch, Canelo's going to try to fight Crawford now, right? He's going to try to fight this little welterweight now. What? That's what Canelo's going to do, right? And what happened when Canelo said, I'm not really interested in that fight? Canelo's ducking. He's scared. It's a bad style for him. Canelo, he doesn't like to fight guys that are fighting the move. And I think that's the reason he's ducking Terence Crawford. This is happening in real time. And then when it became apparent that Crawford was being serious, oh, no. You don't want to do that fight, Crawford. Don't do it, Crawford. No. Everybody stop egging him on. Stop doing it, bro. No. Don't do it. Right? And then they convinced themselves. They talked themselves into it when Canelo said, I'm not interested. All of a sudden, the energy changes, bro. They get a little more brave. Right? They get a little more brazen. I'm just watching this. I'm just like noticing this stuff. And then, a lot of you got gassed up by Crawford, when he was posting pictures, lifting weights, looking big. And you heard the stories that he was beating up Adamas and this, that. And he goes to 154. He's going to fight Madrimov. What's up? Riyadh season, Los Angeles. Like, Crawford's going to show everybody what's up. And then he has a tough fight. Madrimov gives him everything he can handle. Right? Everything he can handle. And And after that, what do people do? Watch, now Canelo's going to fight him since he didn't look so good in that fight. This is the world we're living in, ladies and gentlemen. Right? And I'm going to tell you right now what's going to happen if Terence Crawford fights Saul Canelo Alvarez. Right? I'm going to lay it out for you right now. Crawford ain't winning that fight. And I'm seeing, you know how many channels I'm seeing trying to compare this to the Errol Spence thing? Are y'all dumb, bro? I heard the same thing from the Errol Spence fans. Errol Spence fans were on here, right? Talking about the dude like he was some like all-time great when the dude was fighting every 15 months, bro. Right? So you could spare me that shit. Like I don't know where you're getting that from, right? I heard the same thing about Errol Spence. Y'all say he's gonna be too big and too strong, and Crawford was gonna be able to take it. But look what Crawford did. He dominated him. Yeah, he did. But I'm not even gonna bullshit you, bro. Like I honestly, like most Canelo fans I know, most of them pick Crawford to win that fight against Spence. Like I don't know what like everybody understands that Errol Spence fans were delusional, right? Like it is what it is, right? It's whatever. I bet money on Crawford to win. Like it's not like I don't know who you think you're talking to be comparing people that don't think Crawford go to 168 and meet Canelo to like the Spence situation. I just don't get it. I just don't understand it. Terence Crawford is going to be in a world of hurt if he steps in the ring with Saul Canelo Alvarez. In fact, after that fight, I already know what's going to happen. I'm going to tell you right now what's going to happen. Yeah, you should have fought Benavidez. Well, why is he bringing up little ass Crawford up here to be fighting this? And that's what you're going to be saying. Because the one example you have, right, the whole like the Errol Smith situation, you know how many other situations Canelo fans have been through with this? And I look, I'm a fan of Terence Crawford. All right, but this whole thing about like, oh, it's not gonna matter, man. Skills pay the bills, and like, you know what I mean. It's not gonna matter at all. Like Crawford come in light and he can beat him. Blah, 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 blah. Like, look, there's a reason Terence Crawford won't go up and fight other big dudes. There's a reason for that. Well, he's already been 2-time undisputed. You mean 3? I think you mean 3-time. Shout out to Blood, Retro Boxing Documentaries. I'm not against Crawford getting an opportunity or trying to prove me wrong or anybody wrong. Or I'm not against any of that. I'm just telling you guys, Crawford cannot win that fight, and he won't win that fight. That's what I'm telling you right now. All right, and you could think whatever you want to think. Because all the things that you want to say, like, oh, Crawford this, Crawford that, let me lay it out for you, right? Well, you look at what Bivol did. You really believe Crawford could fight Bivol at 175 and beat him? Crawford can do it. So why are you worried about whether or not Canelo was able to do it? Crawford ain't going to go to 175 and fight Bivol. Yeah, but Canelo, that's not my point. My point is he cannot do what Canelo couldn't do. They both can do it, so why are you even worried about it? At the end of the day, Terrence Crawford started as a lightweight. Yeah, but look at what Mayweather did. Canelo was 23 years old, right? And I don't care what anybody tells you. Compared to Canelo of today, he was very inexperienced. Yeah, but he had so many fights. Canelo didn't have an amateur career. His first 25, 30 fights were basically his amateur career, right? So you can dress it up however you want to dress it up. Terrence Crawford also gets hit. Terrence Crawford gets hit, ladies and gentlemen. Great win over Errol Spence. But we're going to sit here and act like Errol Spence was the same? I don't know. We got to give Crawford credit. We do give Crawford credit. But when we're assessing how he's going to do against somebody else, we got to be realistic. It's not about credit. It's about assessing the situation. Anybody with common sense could see Errol Spence wasn't the same in that fight. There's something wrong with Errol Spence. Oh, you're just making excuses. Blah, 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 blah. Like, I'm not making anything because I'm not an Errol Spence fan trying to cap for Errol Spence. I'm just telling you what you know. Okay? So, now, don't get me wrong. I don't think Errol Spence, even the Errol Spence that fought Cal Brook, I don't think that Errol Spence beats Bud either, but I think it's a better fight. Anyone who tells me, oh, I think it's the same fight, I don't like slap yourself. Okay? That's what you could go slap yourself. And then I saw another content creator say, what are you Canelo fans going to say if Bud wins? What are you going to say? Like, do some of you this is an honest question. Do some of you out there lose sleep over this fucking sport? Do some of you like does it matter that much to you? Like I still remember the lames out here getting mad because people were posting thumbnails of freaking fucking Wilder getting knocked down by Fury. Don't be posting that stuff. Like, why? Don't post pictures of Wilder getting knocked down. That's our king. Like what the fuck are we doing, bro? Do any of you, like, asking those questions, really believe that I give a fuck about the sport that much that I would lose sleep or it would ruin my day in some way if Saul Canelo Alvarez lost a boxing match to anybody, much less Terrence Crawford? Some of you reveal yourselves and your mentality and your weakness, your weak mentality, when you ask stupid questions like that. I look at you and I say to myself, what's the matter with you to even be asking that question? And I remember being asked this question before the trilogy fight, right? I was being asked, what are you going to do when Wilder knocks out Fury and proves that Fury was cheating? He's going to prove it because this time he won't even be able to hurt him because we're going to check the gloves. We're going to check the gloves. And he ain't going to do nothing. And what are you going to do, D-Style? What are you going to do if Wilder knocks him out? And I was just like, and this was on a live stream. And I said, in fact, I think it was on Blood's channel, by the way, where I said this. Actually, now that I'm thinking about it. And I told the dude, what do you mean what I'm going to do? I'm going to watch the knockout. I'm probably going to say, oh, shit. And then do whatever the hell else I'm going to be doing. Whatever else I had planned. I had to go dinner with somebody, go to bed early, well, whatever I was going to do. I was going to go to sleep. I was going to wake up the next morning, go to work, just like I always do. It's fucking boxing, bro. So to answer that stupid question, right? To answer that dumbass question, what are you going to do What are you gonna do if Crawford beats? What are you gonna do? Like what are we gonna do? Like, I guess I'm gonna give Crawford his credit. I'm gonna come on and say, yo, I didn't think he could do it, but he did it. Shout out to Terrence Crawford, and that's what I'm gonna do. I'm not. A lot of you too pussy, bro. Like a lot of you too scared of being wrong and shit. Like you think if you're right about a boxing match, it proves your knowledge about the sport or some dumb shit like that. We're all just fucking guessing, bro. Okay? And you're not a genius if you predict the fight right. There's only two fighters. It's not like go predict horse races, which is there's like a bunch of them. Go predict that, and then I'll be impressed. Right? Like this whole thing about like, oh yeah, I get fights right. I'm right 60% of the time. Like you're right 60% of the time when there's only two fighters, bro. I'm just saying. All right. I pride myself about knowing about football and the stats and this and that, and I've been beat in fantasy football by people that like the names of the individual, or you know what I mean. I've lost bets to girls betting football because they have a crush on the quarterback, but me, I knew more about the football, and like getting predictions right doesn't mean that you know more about boxing than everybody else. All right. So with that said, I'm still going to tell you, I know my boxing. I'm going to tell you right now, Canelo's going to beat Bud Crawford. Bud's not going to win that fight. Okay. But Canelo's bigger than Crawford is. See, here's another. This is a pet peeve of mine. I gotta talk about this. Like, in boxing, we have weight classes, not height classes. Okay? So, and there's a reason for that. How tall was Mike Tyson? 5'10", 5'11"? Does that mean that Mike Tyson isn't bigger than every fucking middleweight today because they're taller than him? Like, being taller and having longer arms, longer limbs doesn't mean you're bigger. Right? It means you're taller. It means you have more reach, but it doesn't mean you're bigger, right? You got to account for everything, right? First of all, our bones, okay? The skeleton. Some people are medium build, some people have thicker bones than others, and you can measure that by measuring your wrist. Like put a measuring tape around your wrist, right? Some people just have, thicker bones. They're thick. All right, Paul. All right, there's just some people like that, right? So the bone's a big aspect of it, right? And then how wide an individual is too, like how broad are their shoulders and their neck, and what about their legs and their calves, and like there's other, how wide is your waist? Some people have very small waist. Some people have wider waist, right? Some people have we're all just built different. Some people have long legs, some people have short legs, some people have long torsos, some people have short torsos, but we have to account for all those things. So Crawford is absolutely smaller than Canelo. He just is, right? And that's that. Like, there's no other way to put it, quite frankly. You know what I mean? So that's what I want to say. Like, it's clear to see, from what I see, I can clearly see that Canelo has thicker bones than Crawford. That's easy to see, right? And And that's something that Canelo hasn't fought someone who has a bigger frame than in a while. Like even Ryder had a bigger frame than him, right? So this is gonna be the first guy he fights in a long time since maybe Amir Khan um, that Canelo has a much bigger frame than, right? So I'm not here to tell you guys that like everyone does that, Remy. Everybody rehydrates. Everybody rehydrates. It's not Canelo rehydrates too. Like everybody rehydrates. Oh, that guy, he's not really in that weight class. None of these dudes are really in the weight class. Very few guys are fighting in their natural weight class. Like you know what I mean? Like, and then we got to go by their in shape, boxing shape weight. And to me, Crawford is more of a 154 pounder at this point of his career. So to be asking him to move up not just to 160, but to 168 against a reigning 168-pound champion, although Canelo, he is a small 168-pounder, but still, right? We just got to really think about that. So with that said, be careful what you say. So if for people arguing that Bud's just as big, that's Canelo, then I don't want to hear Canelo was so big for him. Canelo was being a bully, picking on a little dude. I don't want to hear any of that then after the fight. Right? Gonna put that out there. Yeah, I don't agree. If he's bigger than Canelo Iceman, then why doesn't he go up and fight Benavidez then? Should he go to 175 and fight Bivol? I just think y'all, a lot of you guys are just confusing height. I just think that's what you're doing, right? You're confusing height and the length of the limbs. That's what you're doing, right? And I don't know if that necessarily means it's bigger. To be honest with you, in fact, let's see. So this is what it is. I don't know. I don't know what to say to the statement that Crawford's bigger than Canelo. I don't know what to say to that because I just completely disagree. And I've already explained why I disagree. But with that said, guys, I got to get ready for work, man. But I appreciate everybody that tuned in. I'll definitely try to be on more often. I know I've been gone for a while, but I'll try to be on more often. I got some interviews lined up. I got some guests that could be coming on. I've got some stuff that I'll be doing. For those that don't know, I might as well just say it here while some of you are live. I have shelved the round table. Will not be doing the round table for a while. It's just too much work to put the round table together. And I gotta, be more mindful of my time, right? So it's just what it is. With that said, this is D-Style Boxing. Keep it boxing. I'm out of here. Peace.